same shirt, same hairstyle. Definitely recorded these the same night. So, the next two books I want to talk to you about are the Akata Witch series, which are by Doctor, she has a PhD, Nnedi Okorafor. They are fantastic. So the first book is called Akata Witch. The second book is called Akata Warrior. One of the few things that I don't like about the series is that the original cover does not match the cover of its sequel. That said, there is a newer cover of this, so you can get a matching set. So these are fantasy books. They are set in Nigeria. The main character's name is Sunny. She is an albino Nigerian-American Nigerian. She was born in the United States. She has two Nigerian parents, but they moved back to Nigeria when she was 11, so she has an American accent. And she's never really felt like she fit in. She was too Nigerian for America. Now she's too American for Nigeria. Also, she's an albino, and particularly at her school in Nigeria, there's no one else like her. There's no one else who has pigmentation that's even close to similar to her. So she has a hard time fitting in and really has to spend a lot of time standing up for herself. And that's just sort of the very, very beginning of the story. What it's really about is it turns out that she is a leopard person, which means that she is that she's a witch, like the title would suggest, and she has all of these incredible magical powers, and there's this entire secret world of witchcraft and wizardry that she never knew about because her parents are both regular human, muggles, but her grandmother was a witch. And if you're a witch or a wizard, you can't talk. It's not that you shouldn't; it's that you literally cannot. There's a spell that's cast on you. You can never talk to a normal person about it. So she had no idea that this was even a possibility. Much like, as I've already alluded to, Harry Potter. It's just really fantastic. It's very well written. She's a fantastic writer. She's also written quite a few adult books, so if you're not really into YA, you should check her out anyways. It's full of action and adventure, like very clear storytelling, like a very beautiful world building without it being too dense for a younger reader to enjoy. And then there's just all these things that if you knew anything about Nigeria, whether it's your ancestry, you've spent time there, you would just know and get, and it would just be part of the world. But I spent a lot of time Googling everything from termite mounds to masquerades, which are a particular thing. You should Google that as well. And it was, these books stand on their own, and they're their own series, and they're not trying to be part of Harry Potter's wizarding world at all, but reading these stories that are just so rich with the author's own voice, I think we're in very stark contrast with what J.K. Rowling has been trying to do ever since the Harry Potter books have come out in terms of trying to tell other parts of the world's wizarding stories. They're just inauthentic, they're not true, and oftentimes they're offensive in the fact that they're inauthentic and not true. And just being able to read a fantasy story for young audiences that is written by someone of that culture, they're just so fantastic and so beautiful and so interesting. I didn't want to put them down. They're two of my favorites that I've been able to read recently. And yeah, even things like I was a huge fan. So one of the characters, there's sort of like four of them that are in their, I forget what it's called, but coven? That's not the right word. But they're in this little group, and they're all around the same age. They're all delightful. I enjoy them all. But I'm going to point out one character who is from Chicago, and he actually has been sent to Nigeria because he cast a spell onto police officers because of police brutality. And so I think that that's a really important layer. And also just He tells you a little bit about leopard people in the United States, and like, sure, there's this whole like society of white leopard people, but black leopard people have their own like sacred sites and like capitals, and have their own lore and, you know, and society. And I just I mean, I don't want to tell anyone what to do, but I would love it to get some books set in America and seeing leopard people of America dealing with each other. And I think it would be really interesting of like, what if we could see, you know, like my mind just kept going to all these different places of like, well, yeah, what would it like in terms of thinking about historical and systemic and institutional racism within sort of a magical world. Not that I like any of those things, but I just think that this would be a really cool way to explore them. Yeah, so if you like fantasy, if you like Harry Potter, if you wish that both of those things were more diverse, then I highly, highly, highly recommend the Akata Witch series. They are both out, so you can buy them, you can check them out from your library. I actually listened to them both on audiobook, and I'll put the voice actor's name in the bio because I did not look it up beforehand because I'm really good at this. But she is fantastic, and listening to them is also a real pleasure. So that's all I have to say. Thanks.